Oh boy, so the last time we talked about Pierre-Luc Dubois, it was honestly kind of funny because I went off on the guy. Maybe unfairly, maybe not, I'm not really too sure. You can go ahead and let me know in the comments if I was too harsh on the guy in my rant, but pretty much we had learned that Dubois informed the Winnipeg Jets that in 2024, the guy was planning to become a UFA and test the free agent market. Now, that in itself is a very weird thing. You almost never have NHL athletes tell their teams that, hey, in 2 years, I don't want to play for you anymore. I want to go to the free agent market and explore what's there for me. And it's kind of funny, because in junior, Pierre-Luc Dubois did not want to play for Cape Breton. He demanded a trade, and he tanked his value. In Columbus, the guy very publicly wanted out, and he didn't showcase a good amount of effort in the final games he had with the Blue Jackets. And now, on his third straight team, he's kind of in a similar situation, which is why I decided to rip on the guy. And it's funny because when we uploaded the video, turns out it was the guy's birthday, so belated happy birthday to Pierre-Luc Dubois, I guess, since we're talking about him again here in this video. But today, I wanted to go over Dubois and just another team that has potentially been involved in these conversations here. No, it's not the New York Rangers. We'll save that topic for the weekend, but I wanted to talk about the Montreal Canadiens, because with the Habs being, obviously in Quebec, and Dubois being a guy from Quebec, there's always been some sort of a link that I feel a lot of Canadiens fans subconsciously make when thinking about destinations for Dubois into his future. And it turns out that this entire notion isn't really new. So we're going over onto The Athletic. This is an article published by Murat Ates from a few days ago. Take a look at this. The Jets' uncertainty about the core's future will not be solved by their new coach. This was from 6 days ago, so June 24th, and I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read the article. It's on The Athletic, so we're not going to screenshot anything here, but a quote from this article that I wanted to highlight is this: "I believe that Dubois would like to play in Montreal in the long term, and he has not been shy about expressing that within team circles." Now, the reason we're making this video is because of the quote, because of the sentiment, and there are a few other things that play into it that add more flavor to this conversation as well. Firstly, apparently it's not even just the fans that are thinking, oh, Dubois to Montreal would be a good fit, right? They need centers. He's a center. He's a two-way responsible guy, and he's from Quebec. This is a match made in heaven, is it not? Apparently Dubois thinks so as well. Secondly, the fact that Dubois has apparently expressed that in former team circles is very peculiar to me, because okay, you're thinking about it like this. You're thinking about a guy requesting a trade and saying to his GM, hey, I want out. I want to go to this team. I want to go to that team. I want to go to Montreal. I feel like if there was indeed some sort of formal, okay, I want to go to this team, we probably would have heard about it sooner. Because normally when these types of things happen, you usually hear the NHL insiders gather that sort of intel immediately, right? For Oliver Ekman-Larsson, it was very publicly known that he only would have accepted a trade to Vancouver or Boston back when the Coyotes were dealing with him. Going back to Vancouver, there was the Ryan Kessler trade drama in 2014, where it was very clear the guy only wanted to get traded to Chicago, Anaheim, or Pittsburgh. Normally you hear these things, and the fact that we're talking about this now, saying, hey, Dubois has apparently been expressing within his former teams that he likes Montreal a lot and he would like to play there. Maybe they're only talking about team circles as in, okay, his own teammates, or maybe not necessarily the GM and the management, but just kind of hearsay going around the locker room. Either way, it is interesting to note that apparently it has been widely spread knowledge that Dubois would indeed want to play with Montreal. And now the third thing comes up that I think adds an entire other level of complexity to this problem as well. The fact that the Montreal Canadiens have themselves a guy at first overall that we don't know yet, and I'm going to say it's going to be Shane Wright, but we don't know yet because Bob McKenzie went out there and said it on the broadcast a few days ago. We don't know who the Canadiens are going to take. I think Shane Wright, but whatever. Shane Wright, at his best, is going to be a two-way capable, offensively gifted center with a shot as well as a potential first-line ceiling. Pierre-Luc Dubois, right now, is a 60-point NHL center who's a good two-way guy. He's got pretty good work ethic, I guess you could say, in certain situations, but at his peak, he is probably also going to max out as a 65, maybe 70-point center at the NHL level once in a while, with a few questionable let's say, personality parts to his game, but at the end of the day, he's still talented, he's still defensively responsible, etc., etc. The Montreal Canadiens have a choice at first overall that will give them either their next franchise center in Shane Wright, assuming he pans out that way, or a bona fide top 6 scoring winger in Slafkovsky. Habs fans are already confident that Suzuki is going to be a player long-term. If Shane Wright gets added onto that, then hey, you have Suzuki, you have Wright, you have, I don't know, toss in any other name, Ryan Poehling, Jake Evans also in the mix as well. But if you add Pierre-Luc Dubois, all of a sudden you have a guy who's one draft season older than Suzuki. Dubois was taken in 2016, Suzuki 2017, and then you have Suzuki and Wright down the middle. I mean, it sounds great in theory to have Dubois, Wright, Suzuki as your 1-2-3 center combo, but if that's the case, you're going to have one of Suzuki, Wright, or Dubois playing third-line minutes by the time they're all reaching the prime of their careers. I don't want to make it seem like, oh, you're saying they shouldn't go with a Dubois or a Shane Wright because they'd have a logjam of too many good centers. Come on, Lego, the Habs need more centers. What are you talking about? But I wanted to bring up the idea that says, if you have the opportunity to get star talent, and there's an influx of talent you already have at your disposal, it makes a lot more sense to me to consider the opposite, where you say, okay, if the Canadiens are probably going to try to go for Dubois, or let's say there's a trade involved, so the guy goes over to Montreal and then he re-signs in Montreal to stick around long-term rather than going to free agency status in 2024, if the Habs do that, would it be more sufficient for them to take Slafkovsky number 1 instead and have themselves a first line of Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, and then have Dubois as their second line center? So you have more spots in your top 6 taken by those top talented pieces. It's a philosophical argument at heart, but at the same time, with Dubois being so widely available on the market, I mean, we had the Rangers rumors that we'll talk about a little bit later on the weekend, but like, the fact that he is now there, and the fact that people are now discussing the idea of Dubois to Montreal really makes the conversation about Shane Wright versus Slafkovsky a lot more intriguing to me. Now, I still personally am on the best player available philosophy, where I don't care about what your team already has or what your team is going to have in the future. I just care about taking the best gosh darn player available in the draft, and to me, that is Shane Wright. If I was Kent Hughes, I would be thinking, hey, if we get Dubois, cool, but we're still drafting Wright. This is an article published on Montreal Hockey Now talking about the entire thing here. This was from a week ago. Dubois is possibly available, and he's likely to be linked to the Montreal Canadiens. The article goes over all the stuff that Elliot Friedman said about how Dubois has informed his team about how he wants to go to free agent status. The Jets are likely looking for a retool, yada, yada, yada. With these trade rumors swirling around and the draft being in Montreal, the Canadiens will undoubtedly be linked to the rugged center. Should the Canadiens not walk out of the 2022 draft with one of the top centers like Shane Wright or Cooley, trading for Dubois could be an option, but is it the right one? The article concludes here that the Canadiens should remain patient, that, hey, the Habs also do have a shot at finishing low in the 2023 draft, and Bedard, Mishkov, or Fantilli are all great picks as well. You have other prospects that might be able to fulfill that need for elite talent like Kidney, Farrell, Joshua, etc. There also is the conversation about a trade, where the Jets would likely ask for top prospect Caden Gooley, Calgary's first, and a center like Dvorak, and maybe even more for Dubois. At the same time, though, you got to remember, if you're trading for Dubois right now, you're not trading for the guy, you're trading for the signing rights of the guy. We just saw Kevin Fiala yesterday get traded to LA in a move that I called somewhat of a fleece, because guess what? A 19th overall pick in Brock Faber, to me, it's not really the same as the signing rights to Kevin Fiala. I feel like that guy probably could have gotten a bit more, but whatever. It's under the bridge now, I guess. This article in Montreal Hockey Now, by the way, link in the description if you want to go ahead and read it, kind of concludes that there are pros and cons for being aggressive on Dubois, but the wisest choice to be made is standing pat and continuing to replenish an already respectable prospect pool with more elite talent. I think part of the reason why it phrases it like this is because I'd seen some Canadiens fans on Twitter especially saying things like, oh, if we trade the first overall pick for Dubois, we could go out there and get the guy signed. But like, as I said, if you draft Shane Wright and he becomes a player like Pierre-Luc Dubois, you're probably going to be a little bit disappointed. The fact is, Shane Wright is supposed to be better, and Dubois right now is all right, he's good, but I do question the attitude, I do question the commitment, the fact that it's already been publicized that he wants to go to UFA status, plus the history in the QMJHL, plus the Columbus stuff. I personally would not want to have that type of baggage added to a Canadiens locker room that has been so positively cultivated from Shea Weber that I don't really know if I want to touch it. I'm not really too sure. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments section below about all this stuff with Dubois and the Habs. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.